So, what is aesthetics? Well, in this class, we're kind of mushing together two different topics that are technically separate. So, aesthetics proper is the study of the nature of perception and sensation, whereas the philosophy of art is the study of, the nature of art. So we'll be studying both of these things in this class and seeing how they relate to one another. For now, let's just take them one at a time to see some of the questions that both of these areas of study ask. So aesthetics, like I said, is the study of sensation and perception. And so people who study aesthetics ask things like, well, why is it that my teapot that's sitting in front of me on the table right now as I speak to you, much like you see here, why is it that the sensation of that teapot in front of my plant like that is just so gripping and compelling to me? What is it about that sensation that makes it so interesting? Similarly, what is it about my walks out in the cemetery where I've been going just about every day since we've been in quarantine? What is it that makes the views that I have in that cemetery so gripping and so beautiful to me? Good question. I'm not sure. Now, don't ask questions in aesthetics just about visual perception. We can also ask, well, why is it that we find certain scents so alluring, or the feel of certain fabrics like corduroy? What's so interesting about that? Why does the sound of a mourning dove sound so haunting to all of us? These are all questions about aesthetics. So we're going to be asking these questions, but we're also going to be asking them primarily in the context of art. Now, by art here, I mean something very expansive. So not just paintings hanging on a wall in a museum, but I mean dance, television, literature, poetry, music, sculpture. All of these things fall under the umbrella of art. And the philosophy of art asks lots of questions about, well, what is it about art that does its art thing? So he asks questions like, well, what is art? What is it good for? Why do people make it? What makes some art good and other art bad? What is beautiful about art? That's an aesthetic question we ask about art. So, for example, we'll be asking questions like, what is it that makes this banana that an artist duct taped to a wall a piece of art? And furthermore, we can ask, well, when the second artist came along, took the banana off the wall, and freaking ate it, did he succeed in destroying the work of art? Or does the work of art still exist even though the banana has been destroyed? The artist in question claimed that the artwork was not destroyed because he had another banana in the back room that he could put right back up on the wall, so the artwork continued to exist, even though the original banana didn't exist no more. It had been eaten. So we can ask, is that really true? And if it is, what exactly is the artwork that's been created here? And you also might have in the back of your mind, like, wait a second, like, why does this even count as art in the first place? These are all really good questions within the philosophy of art. We can also ask questions about what makes some pieces of art better than others, or if there is any fact of the matter, whether some pieces of art are better than others. We'll also ask aesthetic questions about works of art. So when I and lots of other people look at paintings by Rothko like this one, we're overcome with this just profound sense of beauty. And we can ask, well, what is it about these paintings that gives us this aesthetic feeling of beauty? So these are all questions about art that we're going to ask. And of course, one more thing we'll ask that you've already seen coming up this week. We can ask questions about the ethics of art. Is it ever morally wrong to create certain pieces of art? That's one of the questions I'm asking you to explore in your discussions with each other this week. And next week, we'll be taking a look at the answers that some philosophers have given, so you can see how your answers to that question match up with what Plato and Aristotle and some other philosophers have had to say about the topic. So, as we go forward throughout the class, I've divvied up these questions into a couple different major theories about what is the characteristic distinguishing features of art. And we're going to go through them one by one. So, we'll start off taking a look at the ancient Greek philosopher Plato and his student Aristotle. They both thought that the distinctive characteristic of art is that it's a representation. It somehow is like a mirror of nature that reflects how the world is. And they evaluate art and analyze how art works by thinking about it in those terms. And so what we'll have to ask is, well, are they right about that? Is all art a representation of something else, or are there other aspects of art that make it compelling, other than simply its ability to mirror the appearance of other things in the world? Lots of people think that there are. So, for example, the novelist Leo Tolstoy, the contemporary philosopher Jennifer Robinson, we'll read both of them. They say, look, it's not so much representation that's the distinguishing feature of art. It's art's ability to express emotions that really makes it interesting and important. Well, as soon as you make that claim, you have to start asking, well, wait a second, just what is emotional expression? What does it mean to express an emotion? How do you transfer an emotion from an artist to a perceiver, and how does art allow you to do that? Those are some questions we'll be asking of Tolstoy, Robinson, and others. And then we're going to see other folks who say, nah, the really cool thing about art isn't so much its ability to express emotions or to represent things. What's cool about art is that its ability to create these aesthetic feelings of beauty and sublimity. And they've got some really interesting theories about what it is about art that allows it to create these very special feelings of beauty within us. We're going to wind up the class and you'll write an essay giving your answer to the question, well, just what is art? Of all the things that might be beautiful or give us aesthetic feelings, what is something that counts as art? So we can ask, do cave paintings from tens of thousands of years ago count as art? Does this urinal that the artist Marcel Duchamp put in a museum, does that count as art? Does a piece of driftwood that you found on the beach count as art? Does the paint that this really adorable red panda is putting on paper, does that count as art? We're going to ask, well, is there an overall theory that can tell us what counts as art and what doesn't count as art? And you'll be able to use a lot of the insights that we've had over the first part of the term to help answer that question. So that's just an overview of some of the stuff that we're going to be thinking about. I'm counting on you to come up with lots of questions as you talk with one another and interact with some of the philosophers that we read. So I'm counting on you to propose some interesting answers to these questions and to think about whether you think that the answers the philosophers we read about give, whether those answers are correct. That is doing philosophy. That is doing aesthetics.